Welcome to Plant More, Worry Less, a podcast by the Huachuma Foundation. We are grateful for the supporters who make this show possible. To learn more about our work or support our mission, please visit huachumafoundation.org. Also note, in this podcast we discuss sacred plant medicines for educational purposes only. Nothing herein should be considered medical or legal advice, and we do not encourage using any substances in places where they are illegal. We hope you enjoy this very special episode.
Crystal Clare, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant More, Worry Less podcast. I am so grateful, humbled, honored to have you with us today. And this is sort of a big moment for me because you and Hamid have been, it's so crazy to see you both on the same screen. I'm sort of having a chihuahua moment because, you two have been like huge pillars in my life, teachers and people I have just leaned on so much for my celebrations, my challenges, my journey, my spiritual work, and my human work. And so I'm excited on so many levels for this conversation today. So thank you so much for joining us all the way from Bali. I know it's early for you.
Thank you. I was just feeling it, like actually this sandwich, like your sandwich in between us. I was like, she must love this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. So thank you for the invite.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we were just talking before we jumped on about your name, Crystal Clare. And, I know you as Claire, but over the last couple of years, you've been sprinkling in this crystal vibration. And it's really made so much sense to me because you've sort of been this crystal clear reflection for me on my journey. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that, maybe to introduce the conversation, and then we can get rolling.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one to start with because I feel like this happens a lot of people on the spiritual journey. They get given a name in the other realms or by a teacher or, something like that, a guide. And I always had a judgment around people that would change their name, like, to rainbow unicorn. Like some like I would see some crazy names and I'd be like, what is going on? Is this like a rise of the 70s kind of hippie era again? And I had an experience, the cosmic joke, when I was I was sleeping on the pyramids in Bosnia and I was meditating, and this elven time queen guide, she was new, she showed up and she surrounded me in these golden crystals and called me Crystal Clare. And the transmission was really powerful for me. I was crying and I was really feeling this like initiation of my soul. And then I was joking afterwards, really saying like, this is where ungrounded spiritual people would change their name. And I thought it sounded a bit like Mystic Meg. I was like, oh, no, I'm definitely not changing my name. And then fast forward a few years later, I started to see the blueprint of my soul and really see the crystal clear, like what I'm here to do, and started to feel the importance of owning it just on like the human and the soul converging together. So yeah, really important that it wasn't a rejection of my name, but it was like an owning of the new, like this new earth, this new frequency. So I was then swallowing humble pie and being the person that had to say it and deal with the judgments, actually, because I really get that. I really get people's their own idea of like, oh, I think she's special. She was given a new name. And it's like, this was always my name, but it was just in the other realm, like my soul. So it was like I chose that before I came here. So probably chose to have this experience so that I could share it. So yeah, that's my little...
Crystal is you can slide by though, because there are people named Crystal too that are named, just maybe spelled a bit different, or...
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's a normal name. It's not like rainbow or it's.
I'm going for rainbow. That's what I want.
Rainbow.
I haven't had the download yet, so I don't know what mine would be.
Maybe it'll come now. Watch this space.
Gordito. Well, something we were texting about earlier that I think would be relevant, because I don't know if anybody else would really talk about this, but at the time of this recording, it's December 8th, 2025. And I love numerology. I love numbers, synchronicities, and all of that. And so if you don't mind speaking on like your feelings of going from a 9-year to a 1 year and kind of what you're feeling in the collective.
Yeah, I was just saying it, like I'm not massively into like studying anything or like studying astrology, but I really felt the year of the snake. I actually felt it kind of a preview of it last year for myself. I went through a huge snake transformation almost like ahead of the year of the snake so that I could help people understand it. And we've been in this massive like shedding, kind of like a washing machine, and also like kind of seeing and revealing like what's not working. And I feel this like transformation, right? This big, huge transformation portal. And moving into one, I was starting to feel like, you know, tuning into next year, what's coming for me personally, and then for the collective as well. And I was really feeling this collapse, like this back to ground zero. And I've been really focused on the 0 point field this whole year, like bringing people into stillness and silence and allowing everything to die. And it's not a bad thing. It's almost like, well, you're starting again. And I know like anyone who works with me is like, we have to start again. Like, really? Like all over again? But that's for me, that feels like the essence of this year. And it feels more exciting for me. Like, okay, something very new. So everything that I thought that I was doing before, it's probably going to be a new version of it, or a completely new something. Like people will change careers. Like I really feel this, like something new. People will build something new. What's been built on rocky foundations will collapse, or what's been built on, I don't like to say false, but a frequency that's not sustainable, like greed, you know, like things that are just more in the shadows, I think they will collapse. So we're probably going to see massive global collapse on every level. And that's a very destabilizing thing, but it also brings you to the ground. So it's like, okay, now it's time to ground. Like it's time to ground spirituality. It's time to ground into who you are, into your location. It's like starting everything again. So I feel this leveling, and I was tuning into it like, okay, why is this happening now? And I feel this like, you know, the age of Aquarius, and I'm triple Aquarius, so sun, moon, rising. I'm like all in the all in this field. And I really, really feel the unity consciousness that wants to come in over the next whatever amount of few decades. Things have to level out. In order to be in unity, we can't have greed. We can't have distorted amount of wealth, and we can't have people hoarding, because in unity consciousness, everything is transparent. So like we develop the ability to see through things and to see truth. So if I'm part of you and you're part of me, why would I be hoarding more for me when like this reciprocity can just flow because we're all part of each other? So I feel like, I know this is very higher vision, but like I imagine unity consciousness being really a leveling of energy. Like we take care of every single person as part of ourselves. And that's a big vision, but like I feel, I don't know how many lifetimes that might take. But that's what I'm seeing or feeling, or I don't know, we're in fast forward. Things are changing very quickly. So it could be like I have to hold the hope that that can happen on some level, that people wake up enough to be able to see that. And then it just doesn't make sense to not share. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to have more here. And we're built very like isolated in these little inner small kingdoms, like our own little, you know, one temple with one person or two people are like nuclear families, whereas actually we're much more tribal. Like by nature, we're so much more supposed to live in community. And I feel like this nuclear family idea creates a lot of separation and a lot of like, we have to take care of our own. But what if our own was everybody? And yeah, we have examples of that in different tribes. And I just feel like it's much healthier, like in terms of our species and our survival. And then we have the opposite, like the AI is going to create more isolation. So, and it's going to create other great things. So we're going to have like both things rising, you know, for before collapse, we have everything in equal measures coming to the surface. So yeah, that's my feeling on it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Where should we plant ourselves before the collapse? Where we are? Or
Peru.
Bali?
I would say like, I don't know, trust where you are is the right place that you're supposed to be. Like for me, I'm following my body a lot this year. And I think this is leading up to the grounding. It's like, well, where does my body want to be? Where do I feel the best? Where do I feel at home? And that's why I'm in Bali. I'm like, oh yeah, my body wants to go to Bali. It wasn't like any other decision than like, I want to go there, do yoga, eat good food, meet nice people, do nice things. So yeah, I would say in the body would be a good place to be.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And so the things that are falling away, what would you say is a good move for people who are sort of having the tower moment of life and things are crumbling?
Just allow it to crumble. Take care of yourself. Sit in the bath. um, and it's going to teach trust on a big level. And I really see like trust as a gateway to love. So like if you don't have trust, you can't develop love because, you know, trust is developed through listening, like listening to your feelings, listening to your heart, listening to yourself. So if we don't have a relationship to really trust in a higher plan and trust ourselves, where we're like taking care of ourselves, you know, we have our yes when we mean yes and a no when we mean no. It's very basic. But that is, to me, is self-love. Like that cultivates the relationship to yourself, to trust. Like your body feels like it can trust you and your decisions. So you have, and again, I speak about the body because I just feel like we're needing to embody all of these things. Like on a practical level, what does self-love really look like? And yeah, I just feel like that taking care of yourself through listening to your feelings and your intuition and your instinct. And yeah, this would be a good thing to focus on when the world is very unstable. It's like, okay, well, how can you develop an inner system that makes you feel more stable? Like a system that is a navigation system that isn't based on something on the outside, you know, which is what I really focus on with all the people that I work with, is like, how can you reinstate your own ability to listen and feel and trust and move from a center point of view? And it's not self-centered, it's just centered in, I would say centered in self, like the true self. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Hamid, do you have anything to say about that, about trust and all that?
Well, no, can I ask another question? Because you all are like 10 years into some relationship and just talking like, but I don't really know, I don't know you yet. So I'm just more curious if you'd share a little bit about your story, who you are, where you are, and you know, before we get into all, I know it's like Bali, you just want to have the deep conversation before you know their name, but I want to like know a little
Right.
more, maybe, if that's okay.
Of course. We got my name. It's always funny when I like, where do I start with my story? I guess I'm a conscious creator. Like I've always been into creation, creativity. I went to art college and I've always been into moving the body. Like Dani, I came from bodybuilding, but I actually came from yoga. And then I did this whole, probably the opposite to what yogis would do. I studied Ashtanga yoga really intensely and practiced it for like almost 10 years. And I had this huge, and I was reflecting on this recently, denial of the ego. Like really not understanding ego, but knowing it was a bad thing in yoga and just not getting it, right? So I was really in yoga trying to I never took one photo of myself in that whole time. Like I really just, I have no memories of it besides what I store here. And I then went like, because of natural curiosity, I needed to know what the ego was. And I'm very like extreme. So I went from yoga to bodybuilding to like develop this huge identity around the body and look at me and take photos and like the opposite experience of yoga basically. And I was in it kind of going, this is a bit weird. Like this is exactly what the yoga was saying not to do. You know, I was kind of self-aware in it, like exploring what that was all about. So I say like going through like what the false self really is. Like we all have masks that protect us from feeling like vulnerable in our true self, like, you know, this not being vulnerable. So actually I'm going to be someone that I think society wants me to be. So I did that on high blast. And in the top of that career, I just had a really big spiritual awakening where I started to like feel I couldn't train anymore. It was like I fell out of love with it. I ticked the box, the passion was gone. And then I crashed into like the death, the biggest ego death you could imagine. So just letting go of that identity and really understanding what it means to have a conscious ego death. Like I chose it. And again, I just kept dying into my more true self. So I would say I went through like the false self. Then I went into more of the, what is the true self, like exploring consciously or spiritually what that is. And now I'm in a phase of like the free self, like freedom. So yeah, fast forward, like I went through like on my spiritual awakening, we'll say, I mean, we're all spiritually awakening into this reality. There's no, it stops and starts. It's like a continual unfolding, I feel. But yeah, I just really got into plant medicine. I started to explore, it was really just me sitting with myself and exploring what was going on in my programming and patterning, that like untangling myself, which is actually what real yoga is, which is kind of funny because I went from like not knowing what yoga is into true yoga of like unveiling the mayas of the mind and the illusions, and yeah, really going through like almost laughing at my previous experience of what I thought yoga was, and then getting real life experiences of transmissions of what the spiritual teachings were all about. And that was without a teacher. So I found that quite interesting. I always had teachers, and then I let go of all of that. I stopped consuming, I stopped inputting, I stopped learning. And that was part of the death. I just let go of everything. I was like, how much can I let go of? And even on a movement level, like all of my life I'd been moving, exercising, training my body, honing my physical. And I say I sat still, and I'm not joking, for almost 2 years. Like every day, day in, day out, I didn't move much. It's not very healthy to do that. Just don't recommend that. But it just like the pendulum swing was like, now you're going to sit. So I just sat and I explored, and I was just diving deeply into my own conscious and subconscious mind. And yeah, just unveiling and revealing who I actually am. And plant medicine was a big part of that as well. Like I just really started to sit with mushrooms myself. Again, not having a teacher, just, okay, I'm going to learn what the mushrooms are about through my own experience. And they definitely initiated me into my blueprint. So over time, I was just doing these macro journeys, maybe like twice a month, and just having questions until there was no more questions. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then, of course, we get more questions, but there, there was a point where I was like, all questions are answered. And then we come back down a little bit. There's more questions. But yeah, that's in a nutshell. I would say that's kind of who I am.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's super interesting. We all have yoga somewhere in our history, and then I practiced Ashtanga, Mysore, for a long time, and
it's intense, right?
It's very intense, and it matched my intensity at the time, I think, which I was coming out of being an attorney, and I didn't know what else to do other than go, 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 go. And I totally resonate with the stillness thing too. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. I like to hear some overlapping. That feels good, right? Because I feel like we all have our own version of this. Like everyone goes through like, who am I supposed to be in the world, and what am I supposed to do? And like on that level, I was a creative director, like in my profession, and then a professional trainer. And it was like letting go of all of that to emerge into like, well, what did my soul come here to do? Not like what my human things I need to do to survive. And we talk about trust, right? Many leaps of faith off the cliff into the unknown without a safety net. Like that's been my path. And I learned trust through those movements actually. And they were scary, but like there was no other choice. Like that's how I felt about it. It's like I can't stay where I am. So, and if you're extreme, you'll know this. You have to go all in. There's like, I can't stay somewhere that's misaligned or that doesn't feel like it anymore. And even though I don't know where I'm going this way. So yeah, I resonate.
Yeah, trust is something that I had to learn too. I wasn't really taught that. I was instilled with a lot of fears from my parents. Maybe people they don't realize, when you run in front of the car to grab the ball and you're not scared, but your mom screams, and then becomes your fear. It wasn't your fear before. And I had a lot of that with just career and, financial stability that I had to work through to realize kind of where you arrived, which is, no, the universe is there. We have a mission. We have a purpose, and our heart's going to long for it. If we deny it, there's going to be something missing. And to really trust to move towards that has been like one of the biggest teachers for me in trust. And there's no need for a net. It doesn't seem like you ever really need it.
Right.
Yeah.
It would slow you down, right?
Yeah.
Can you share, maybe like what your wins were? Like I would say wins, but like the feeling now after trusting, because I feel like people don't have a little guide map or like, well, what will happen if I do that? Like, will my life get worse or better? And I know for me, like my life has only gotten more incredible. Like every time I take those, like the more I let go, the better it gets. So like, yeah, what would you
Yeah.
say you've gotten through trusting actually?
Well, everything in the last 15 years has been that for me because, like I said, I went to music school. So I was always drawn towards my creative side. And in my heart, I wanted to do music. But the prospects of making a career out of it, plus all the voices in my head saying I need to have a stable livelihood, caused me to go to law school. Well, I didn't know anything about law. I just knew that they made money. I never met a lawyer. So I was fascinated by that too, because it started to exercise a different part of my mind, like thinking and logic, which I hadn't spent a lot of time in. And unfortunately for me, I was really good at it. And so all these opportunities started to open where I was offered the best jobs and all this stuff. And I just started taking it because everybody was like, whoa, you have to go to that firm. Whoa, you have to do this. And every time I would get in a position, I'd be like, this can't be it. Like, this is what they were so eager to have. Like, who would want this? And it took me only 3 years of doing that as a lawyer until I realized I don't want this. Like, but I was still scared of going broke. That was the biggest fears. Like I wrote down, I'm afraid that if I quit this, that I will not support myself. So I had to confront that fear. And I actually made it a mission to walk into that fear and try to go broke to see what it would feel like on my nervous system. So people that knew me at the time, I don't know if any of them are listening, but I sold everything. I ended my law partnership. I packed up everything I had into my Volkswagen and I decided to go live in LA and just practice yoga and meditate. And I was staying in my sister's bedroom with her and her husband, who were like, we got this weird yogi guy living here probably. But I wasn't going broke fast enough. So then I had to get an apartment in LA to burn through my savings faster. And in that period of stillness, again, I was sitting, I didn't read. I was really in that mode that you kind of describe of just being present. And I wasn't trying to accumulate knowledge. All kinds of insights came. One was to start a nonprofit called Karma Council that would be donation-based legal services. I also thought this is another way to go broke because I'm just going to do donation-based for bankruptcy people filing bankruptcy. They don't have any money. And believe it or not, people started donating more, and then I had to hire somebody and I was like, this is not what I want, like I'm rebuilding the same thing I just left. So I started to realize at that moment in time, that piece of trust, which is that it doesn't matter, like something about my karma, I think I'm going to be fine. I don't think I'm destined to be homeless on the street for whatever that means. That fear that I had, it must have come from somewhere else. And I really start to see it as coming from my immigrant parents who really had to like work hard. And once I let go of that and started trusting, then it was very easy to just say, oh, I want to do this. This is what my calling is now. So then I started to really study yoga like 7 years in and started to teach and travel, meditation and study in Thailand and all these things and go to Peru. And so for me, it's just been that constant, like, I don't know the end, but I know like which direction I'm going and I'm going to take this step. And every time I've taken a step from that place, from the heart, from the soul, from the spirit, there has been an enormous amount of support for that from wherever, the universe, God, society. Every time I've taken a step based on fear, like in the past, when I was younger, it just led to like more fear. And so I realized like trust is really that game. The more you take the step, the more you're supported. Then you start to just learn like, no, this is a co-creation and I don't have to worry about too much. And people have come to me over the years and like, how do you do it? It's like, it is in the body. Honestly, I think it is in the body. And, just reprogramming our nervous system a little bit. I mean, I'm so much calmer, now that I trust, the old me when I was an attorney 20 years ago would have been like worried about the next paycheck or something, but now I'm just kind of like, I don't even think about it. I just know there's going to be something. And then I focus on what's happening in the present more.
Right. You can focus on service.
Yeah.
Would you say like I feel like courage is like a stepping stone to trust. Like you have to cultivate somehow the movement of the courage to, okay, being brave. Because when you haven't taken those steps before, I mean, I was reckless. Like, so I would say that worked in my favor, but some people are not reckless, So if you're not reckless, I think courage is probably a useful stepping stone.
Yeah. I think I would describe myself when I took those leaps as impulsive,
Mm-hmm.
where it was sort of actually a good thing in a way, because I'm like, I have this undeniable feeling I have to go that way. I could not do it, Some
Yeah.
people would look at it and go, oh, you're just impulsive. And it's like, well, that might be a pejorative way of describing someone who's actually acting from a true place, because they haven't thought about all of the fear consequences that you want them to think about.
Yeah.
But I was impulsive in a good way. And that has served me, because I do notice that we overdevelop that part of ourselves that's very cautious. And so that courage part to just, kind of push into it a little bit. Like, when I tried to go broke, I was scared. I was like, I don't know what it feels like. That was the other thing, is that I realized I was scared of going broke, but I had never been broke. So how could I have a fear of something that I never had? It didn't make sense to me. So I was like, I need to feel what it's like in my body. And if I end up homeless or like a monk or something, then that's probably what I was destined to do. And it didn't happen. So yeah, it's a courage, just taking one step. These hikes that, Dani and I do, and we go to Peru, that's actually something there that I learned like as a profound lesson on those hikes, which is you don't know always the outcome. You don't know if you can do it even, but you just take one step and then you take another step and you trust. And having the courage to do that really shows people, I mean, me, I'll speak for myself, it shows me that I'm way more capable of things than I think sometimes. And yeah, it's like limiting beliefs, just confronting them.
Right. I would say as well, like belief was a huge thing for me. I got the best program from my mother. You can do whatever you want. Like it was this real, like, 'cause she was so like suppressed in what she wanted to do that she really didn't suppress me. And she kind of saw me as like she lived vicariously through me. So she was like, go for it, do it. And it was always that, like, I didn't get any programming, but that was the one program that I got. And I was like, that I see the benefit of that, because I see so much how people struggle with self-belief. And if you don't believe, like, and it's not a blind belief, if you don't have a feeling of I can do that, or, that kind of just inside feeling, or like that impulsivity, or like there's no other option. Like I also had that, like I don't see any other path but this one, and I don't even know what's on that path, but I'm walking that way. And it's like, yeah, almost I would say like an inner belief rather than a blind belief. Just I know I can do it. And if you don't know that you can do it, you're in that fear state. Can I trust that I can take that step? So even, pre-courage is probably working on the belief, like the belief that you can, because so many people just think they're not connected to the technology of the universe. Right. That's only for special people, right?
Yeah. It's awesome. I love that.
Thank you, guys. This is such medicine for me. I'm having a nice time just listening to you two talk. Okay, so I'm curious about divine blueprints. You've mentioned that a couple times, Claire, and I know that's like a big part of your work. And I'm just curious kind of what it is, how you see it, and I guess we can start there.
Yeah, it's really come to me, like I said, when I got my blueprint, and I didn't know what a blueprint was. I just started to recognize it in myself, that like our souls have a specific purpose, and we have chosen very specific ingredients to come down through. And when I started to reveal, like I just feel like the most precious experience you can have in this life is like being in the front row seat of you giving birth to who you actually are. And I was like, whoa, I want everyone to have this experience. I was like, this is so precious, and I'm the only one that can really experience it. So like everyone can have that experience if it's for them in this life. And if you don't really know who you are and you're here to discover it, it's like, well, who am I not? And we chose challenges just as much as we chose the blueprint to activate the blueprint. So we all chose specific things in terms of like dharma and karma and like all the things that we need to work through to actually activate who we are. And when you start to view your life as like, oh, well, I chose all of this. Like I chose some gnarly stuff to act, like I got cancer. Like I chose some really gnarly stuff to activate myself. But actually going through it really gave me all the keys of like who I am. So when you're going through something hard, it's actually compressing you into your highest self. And everybody has that if they can catch it. If they can start to self-inquire and go into like, okay, why would I choose this challenge? What's the gift at the other side of it? And I know I said to you many times, Dani, we're digging for gold. It's this like, okay, the gold, even the gold print, right? We're looking for the gold of who we are and our divinity. And we've been brought into a society that like has so many distortions around who we are and who we should be, that the blueprint is the pure essence of the soul, minus any conditioning. It's the original condition of who you signed up to be. And that is very specific and unique to everybody. Like, even though there will be people similar to me doing similar work, who I am and my essence is unique. You know, we're all very specific, unique drops. And I feel like it gets away from specialness as well, because we try to deny who we are because we don't think we're special. And then we go into a journey of specialness. And I would say we, but me. And I observe it in others as well, like trying to be someone that they're not. And then you get back to the actual miracle of who you actually are. And who you are is like for me, when I discovered, I was like, wow, like I like myself a lot. Like it was this like, of course I would, because I chose it. You know, it's like the masterpiece, like your favorite artwork, your favorite piece of art. Like that's how I describe it. It's like you really get into like who you are is not someone that you're not going to like. Like it's like the best, most juicy. Like I think I'm hilarious when I'm in my blueprint. You know, there's this kind of like I'm laughing at my own jokes, and you know, there's just this feeling of like juice of like really enjoying who I came here to be, and it's the most natural place. Like it's what's easeful for you, what's easy for you, because we're given the tools to be who we're supposed to be. So it's like you're what you're naturally good at. And, you know, you can look at it from many different angles. Like there's so many great systems to help you distill it. Like there's these gene keys and, you know, the astrology, and you can explore like all of the ingredients that you chose, because we all chose these ingredients. And that's very hard for a lot of people to understand. Like, okay, well, I really choose to give myself cancer. No, you know, it's like, okay, I did, you know, and when you own it, you get out of victimhood. You know, you're in the like, okay, in my power, why did I choose this? And I feel actually a lot of like what we were talking about at the start, if we want to get into unity consciousness, fear and lack and victimhood is something that really needs to transform. Because if we're in survival, we're not going to be in our power saying, I chose this. We're not going to be able to excavate the gifts, and we're not going to be able to realize the blueprint, because we're just surviving and moving through the world, holding on. And it's like the blueprint's about letting go. How much can I let go? And I know for me personally, like this, especially this last year, getting into the present moment means you don't hold on to anything. Like I'm like, even planning a few weeks in advance for me is a little bit like, oh, that's a fixed point. And it's not from an avoidance of like having structure. It's more like now I'm anchored, and my highest can't really unfold if I have this plan in 2 months' time. You know, I start to see these like anchors, and I can plan something loosely, but not have it really fixed. And it's like this continual like opening to receive. And I was saying this in a call I did yesterday with a group. Like when you open, like this is a big stretch in comparison to a closed fist. It's very comfortable. It's like really comfortable to keep your fist closed. But if you like stretch open and you're letting go the whole time, this is where you receive. So it's like this mudra of like, I'm going to stretch open, and it's not very comfortable, but I'm always stretching. And it's this stretching continually into my highest. And for me, that is about getting present. You know, I joke about like staying still for 2 years, but like that stillness brought, like, it's like all of your consciousness hones into one point, and that is like the 0 point where like no time or space exists, and you're just consciousness. And that's where you start to unravel the programming through. You know, we're very busy and noisy until we sit still, and then we're very busy and noisy until we untangle all of the pieces that are not us. And that starts to reveal the blueprint. And it's kind of interesting as well, because it's not really something that you can do, but you can actively engage with it. It's like a co-creation between you and your soul. So it's already laid out. So we're just kind of trying to catch the pieces of where I'm supposed to go next. And again, coming back to like developing intuition and listening to your feelings, or even opening your more psychic senses, that gives you a relationship with your soul. So you're not in the dark so much anymore. You're actually kind of going, okay, where is it now? And send me an invitation. You know, even coming to Bali, I had Bali, Thailand, and India on my list. And I was like, I actually don't know which one. And then I was like, okay, I need an invitation. And I got an invitation 2 days later to host a retreat in Bali. I was like, okay, it's Bali. You know, kind of being open to, you know, not having any limiting beliefs around what's possible. You open to your highest, and you're going to be sent in the right direction. There is no wrong direction, but the highest direction for you in that moment for things to unfold. And when we go back to like, where should we be in a time of collapse, whatever that is, that the listening so that you can unfold your highest direction, so that you land in the place that is the most supportive for your soul. It's like quite a big thing to let go of all of those realities and to listen. And I just imagine a world where like people are doing that, because I've had micro experiences of like going to like a conscious life expo where more people are in the flow, and the synchronistic flow of what's unfolding is so magical. It's like, wow, you could not get more divine orchestration happening, you know. And it's like, I can imagine that on a bigger scale. Like, imagine if it was just divine orchestration at play, and we weren't trying to like logically create or like hold on to things or build things from just the logic, or build things from fear, or build things from greed. It was more like, I'm going to wait for the synchronistic flow to bring me the right person to do this thing in my thing that I'm doing. You know, it's like, it would just feel very different. And yeah, it's much more about being in touch with other humans as well. You know, we're not in an isolated box trying to build something. Like, and I'm feeling that in Bali now. I'm feeling like there's almost like a new earth blueprint here, where there's this flow is happening. People are kind of going in the waves and catching the waves that feel good for them. And there's very little holding on. So like, yeah, I'm like praying to that. Like, if I have a prayer, it's like, I want to experience more of that in the wider field.
Makes me want to come to Bali.
I know, come to Bali. Like, I'm excelling Bali. I've been here before, but I'm different now. You know, so it's like, I feel Bali different now because I'm different. But yeah, I landed in like the red carpet was rolled out. It's like a test pool for the new earth. Like, it feels like a testing ground. Like, yeah, there's so much new, and people are more in their essence. They're more in connection. They've gone through the washing machine. They're coming out the other side. A lot of people that I'm meeting, because I've been through it, are in that phase right now. And I can see who they are in their essence. And it's like, I just love, like, I think the highest compliment that you can give someone is, I've never met somebody like you. Because it's like, it's true. It's like their essence is on display. Their essence is there. You can see it. It's birthed. So like, you're meeting all of these different flavors of consciousness. And like, they're like one of my, I have like a new best friend here. Is like, he has the devil blueprint, which is really interesting. It's like this medicine of purification of fire. You know, and even to say, like, for me, I love like to uncover like what all the different archetypal blueprints are, because there are actually archetypal ones. You know, the devil one's quite bold. Like, it's like the hardest one probably to embody, because there's so many like distortions around shadow and darkness, and, you know, the difference between shadow and darkness. And this is something that I've been really interested in as well. It's like, how do we understand, like, we're at war and it's good versus evil. So if we're supposed to be unified, how do we understand what darkness actually is and its purpose? Like, the purification by fire, going in, it's not shadow, it's darkness. It's the medicine of the mystery and the void, and it's the death. You know, so meeting somebody in that, like, this is one of my favorite blueprints, because you have to be the most pure to embody it. Like, you have to have gone through the most, because you can't hide there. You can hide in the light. I feel like it's so much easier to hide in the light. You can be false light, but you can't hide in the darkness, because everyone's going to be pointing at you saying you're the devil, you know? So like, I just feel like it's such an honorable, like, I'm like, wow, that's a big one to choose. So I like these, like, I like meeting these people who are in the purity of it, because it gives me also faith and trust that I can trust what I know to be true about darkness, you know, and it just immediately dispels the myth of like what good and bad is. It's just shadow. It's just unintegrated parts. It's just fear. It's the illusion. It's not real. whereas we have the light and the dark. We have contrast. We could not live in this reality without contrast. So for me, I have like this more embodied light, and he has this more embodied dark, and we're like, let's play together, like, like because we're very different. Yeah, same, but different. Yeah, so that's just an example of a blueprint. So I just feel like it's useful to share because people will be like, what could it possibly be?
Super helpful. Thank you.
So in discovering the blueprint, or how you help others discover their blueprint, do you see like plant medicine being helpful in this space, or like what's kind of a way that you're able to get in there with people who are so clouded?
I mean, I would like to say, because it's been my experience, that I couldn't have done it without plant medicine. Like, I probably could eventually, might have taken a lot longer. And it's not that it's a shortcut. It just, plant medicine just makes you more present. Like, in my experience, it just slows everything down, and you're sat in one space, and it's very intentional, you know, so it brings in the medicine of intention, because you can sit without medicine and do the same thing, but we're not able to focus or be so present without the medicine. And I specifically will speak about mushrooms, because I've done lots of different medicines, but mushrooms have just felt like me. Like that's been the one that I've really explored the most. And I also notice, actually, and I should say that, like, on all the different medicines that I've done, I go to the same realm pretty much. So they show you more of who you are in your own consciousness and what you're holding. So it's more a chance to explore with a little stretch in consciousness, because it helps you stretch. Who am I in my next version of myself? And if you can learn, I must say learn the tools, because nobody taught me this. The medicine taught me. Sit and listen. Learn how to listen. And I was pretty fearless. So, you know, I know what comes up for a lot of people in medicine is like they're afraid of losing control, or they're afraid something will happen, or they're afraid of a bad trip. I've never had a bad trip, but I've seen weird things. Like, I've seen the devil. I've seen like things that would be trying to like frighten me or show me like what these aspects are. And you're only going to see what's relevant to your blueprint as well. You know, again, because you see who you are. So everyone has such a unique experience with medicine. And I love holding that space, because I see it almost like there's different ingredients in the field when somebody new comes in to sit with me. And I'm an ingredient, and they're an ingredient. And what baby is our consciousness going to create together? And like, what are we going to reveal about their field? You know, because I'm in service in that. It's kind of seeing this like mystery and magic of like being in the front row seat as somebody gives birth to different aspects of themselves. And they help you to stretch into and explore and unlock those things. It's almost like a little bit more freedom in the system. So there's more letting go of control. And I would even say, like, which is kind of funny, because a lot of people's fear is losing control. Well, I'm going to lose control. So like, if you have big control topic and you do medicine, in my experience, if you do have a big control topic and you do medicine, you're only given little amounts, you know, like tiny little experiences to help you trust. So you're never given more than what you can handle. So if you have a really big experience, it's because you could handle it. You know, some experiences are harder to integrate than others, but there's nothing to be afraid of. The only thing to fear is yourself. You know, it's like whatever is on the inside. And I keep getting this message of there is no separate self. It's all you. Like, it lives in your field. You're experiencing this reality. You're the one that has this toroidal field of information. And that's your own information and your programming and your conditioning that's being projected back to you or reflected back to you. So if you can take it as like, I'm experiencing myself, what's this part of me? What's this part of me? What's my relationship to fear? Why am I afraid of that specific character or this type of person? And the medicine shows you through whatever pathways are open in you. So if you're very much in the mind, it'll show you through your thoughts, or it'll show you through memory. Whereas if you get a little bit more out of logic and more into the creativity and the flow, you'll then start to experience more magical, mystical things that are not really thoughts, you know, so you'll have more visions. And depending on the person as well, because some people's third eye is more open for a reason. You know, not everybody is here to open their third eye fully in this life, you know. And I think in the spiritual world, it's good to say that, because sometimes you're a big person who's into feeling, and you have massive skills and gifts around like the sentient, like being able to feel, like sense things. And if you had your third eye open because it's very interesting, maybe you wouldn't develop that. You know, maybe you wouldn't access that. So yeah, it's like, again, not comparing your journey to anyone else's. It's this like wonderful exploration of who am I, which is like the biggest spiritual question, and what am I, and why did I come here? And like, if you just stay with those questions again and again and again and again, what now, what now, what now, who am I now, who am I now? Like, you're just peeling back the layers of who you're not until that blueprint is revealed. And I feel like the medicine just brings that intentional space, slows you down, call it like slowing down to the speed of electricity. Like, you're slowing down to speed up, and you're slowing down to catch a new wave, and you're slowing down and you're offering up and you're letting go. And yeah, you're saying, I want this, I choose this. And we can do that without the medicine. We just do a ritual and we sit down and we sincerely say, I'm letting this go and I'm calling this in. And watch your life unfold from that moment of like what you've just called in and what you've collapsed. And I know for me, I've had very big experiences without medicine of like calling something in, really meaning it. Like, okay, I'm done with this. And I'm like, I had like such big lessons through like suddenly like saying something like and really meaning it. And then some whole reality collapses in my life. So yeah, it's like the technology works whether we're on the medicine or not. It's just more feelable. The medicine gives you an experience of that you can then integrate and stretch into. So there's this kind of like dance between like, I just see it as a stretching, an opportunity to stretch. So if you're going to like engage and consecrate with this like sacred plant or this medicine or this mushroom, it's like an experience of like, okay, I'm willing to, and I'm going to stretch. So it's not going to do the work for you. There isn't this like silver bullet. If you just take it thinking it's going to do everything, you nothing will happen. You have to be consciously engaged with your question, like working with your intention and asking, and yeah, having that relationship to like the co-creation versus I'm going to just sit down and allow it all to happen. It's there's this like dance between like you have to stretch with the medicine. So it's yeah, trying to get you to stretch, or you're trying to get yourself to stretch. Yeah. I don't know if that answers what you've asked, but
Yeah, that really resonates, honestly. I appreciate the, just the sincerity of working with the plants, but also, going in with that kind of attitude, sort of like, this is a co-creation, this is a dance. Because, in some of the places where I reside, I live in Arizona, and it's not as, not like Bali. So the people sometimes have a Western pharmaceutical approach to plant medicines that they are programmed to come in. And they think like, oh, okay, I take an Advil, takes my headache away. Okay, I take ayahuasca. It's 20 years of therapy. I don't have to do anything one night. And I'm not of that opinion personally. And I do share your opinion because I was in meditation, doing meditation, and then eventually teaching meditation for over a decade before I was introduced to plant medicines. And I had profound experiences in just meditation, and also with sound in particular, like working with music and sound, which is part of like the thread of my life. And it seemed like when I got to the plant medicines, it was kind of like a familiar territory that opened up a bigger landscape. It's like I had seen like part of it, but I didn't see the full canyon. And then I'm like, oh, wow, that's what's there. I knew there was something right over that little hill right there. But then it's like, oh, and yeah, so I do resonate a lot with what you said.
yeah, I really feel that on like the Western version of it is like medication. I do see that happening a lot. And then I'm kind of giggling as well because I'm like, the medicine will teach them,
Mhm.
and it's happening that way. Like if you try and control the scenario, the more you try and control, the more you'll be shown how you're not in control. Right? It's like it's gonna slap you and sit you down and show you that this is not a logical linear experience. This is not where you put you can do blindfolds and that's relevant to some experience, but like it's not this like isolated, I don't know, for me with the mushrooms especially, like the mycelium is like the network, right? It wants interaction. So when I'm holding space with someone, I'm fully in the field interacting with them. I'm not like, oh, they're over there and kind of make sure that they're safe and don't interrupt them. And it's like in my power, I'm in the field. Let's play in the field where we're more expanded. And let's allow consciousness to move, because this is a co-creation. I'm not just sitting here to make sure you don't die. I'm dying with you. I'm going down with you. Like, we're fully in, all in. And I personally love that all in. And that's the people that come to me want that. You know, it's like, this is my specific like preference of like, if you're really willing to go all in, come to me, you know, because we're going to die together and we're going to reveal together and we're going to give birth together. And like, that's like, for me, that's such a sacred experience, rather than like the fear-based, I'm going to hold space and I'm going to sit over here. And obviously there's a level of, if it's a group, is slightly different. But, you know, there's a lot more going on. But it's still, I still feel this invitation where I've held group space with the mushrooms where they want to flow. Like, a lot more gets revealed through the group field, where you start to see there is no separate self, and where you start to play with consciousness moving through the ethers or through sound. You know, and like, sound is definitely a big part of me as well. It's like kind of recognizing that consciousness moves into form through sound. It's like, well, this is a bridge right there. You know, like, how can you allow yourself to be reprogrammed through sound? And you can have, I have huge experiences off medicine with breath work, with sound, like psychedelic experiences. And as similar to you, when I did yoga and I was meditating, I would have glimpses of like the DMT. You know, I would have these little hints. And actually the first thing that I ever took was DMT, which talk about like the deep end. But I had a feeling that it would just show me what yoga showed me, and it did, but on high definition. I was like, wow, like that's the full spectrum of what that is. Like, that's source, you know, this, like, rather than a tiny little flash, you know, it's like you get the full experience, and then you get to stretch into and integrate off the medicine. Like, how can I connect more to that in my regular day to day? Like, how can I keep my eyes up and know that that's there, and pray to that and look up, you know, just have more of a connection. But yeah, it needs to be done that like sincere, intentional, like that connection to the medicine is a relationship. Like, I feel it's not something that like, yeah, we don't just consume it, we're consecrating. We're really being with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I had interesting, because when the DMT that's part of the ayahuasca, that's really the DMT that I've experienced. And there's very particular kinds of geometries that often start. And when I first experienced that, I was like, I've seen these before. And I knew exactly when I saw them, which was when I was a kid and I had a fever, like on the couch. I was like, what is this? You know, I was having that experience as a young child. And then when I had ayahuasca, I was like, oh my God, I had the same thing with just a fever.
Mm-hmm.
And even since then, like, once I had a fever, I don't get sick very often, but I remember I had a fever like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was seeing all the things. I was like, wow, I just need to get fevers more often. I don't have to drink ayahuasca.
That's why you like fevers.
I do like them. I find them completely psychedelic, and I feel as though it's like my body reached another level of vibration, and it's like, okay, now we're going to purge something.
Yeah.
But it is exactly like that for me. It is like a healing event. And you're joking, but you know, people don't know, but I've like asked my Chinese medicine doctor, like, do you have something to give me a fever? Like, you know, give me he's like, no, we can't ethically do that. Like, okay.
It's funny you're saying that. I actually have a similar memory. It was also in a fever, but it was more about like how I could experience and feel reality. Like, I was feeling energy and like density and like these balls of energy. And it was almost like overwhelming for my system, because I was ranting. I was just like in this like different state, and I was thinking things were there that weren't there, but I was just really sensing a different field. It's like, I don't know if it's the temperature. I don't know. Like, medicine makes you hot, so maybe it's something to do with temperature that like sends you into that altered state. But yeah, there's like something elevated, right? It's an elevated state. It's like if people like worked with when you're sick or you have a fever, like there is usually a purging or a cleansing happening. You know, there's like that, and when then you see, is a virus really a bad thing? You know, it's like, okay, it's making me. I purge so much through different viruses. Like, and they sit you down. It's like all consuming, takes you over, makes you surrender. Like, And I noticed that as a thing as well, like for people are getting sick regularly is because they're not listening. You know, they're not surrendering. They're trying to control, and the sickness makes you slow down and sit and let go. And yeah, there's like so much medicine in being unwell.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you
And
worked with Huachuma, San Pedro before?
Yeah, not a lot. For the first time last year, and I feel, and when I took it actually, I was like, oh, I know why Dani loves this. Really, really feeling like if I was to say there's a medicine for the planet right now, it's probably Huachuma. Like I just feel this like really need to reinstate the heart field, you know, and that really showed me like um it's almost like an in between, like it really helps you to bridge. Like I would say like it's a really good bridge, and it's not destabilizing, you know, and it's actually more experience through the body as well. Like I was having all of this information and wisdom and visuals and experiences, but also my body was very alive. And I was really feeling this like, oh, this is like an embodiment medicine. And then also felt like a bridge to the heart because I just experienced so much beauty on it. I was like, oh, I was just crying with beauty and like just feeling prayer. So like I feel like it's very underrated. And
Hmm.
I know as well, like it's a super sacred medicine because it's hard to grow. You know, it takes a long time to grow. So on that level, it can't really be abused, I hope. You know, it's like somehow I would hope that it can't be abused, but yeah, it's like somehow this. I feel like that's much more valuable than ayahuasca, for example. Like I just, even though they're different, you know, and ayahuasca purges and cleanses, it works on a different system. It works differently with people. I just feel in terms of what we need both of them actually. We definitely need to cleanse and clean out and then bring in the heart, you know, and ayahuasca has the heart too, but I just feel like Huachuma bridges it. It makes it more tangible. Like that was my experience when I sat with it. I just felt like this is more of a tangible medicine that people won't be destabilized by. I can't imagine that destabilizing you. You know, it just felt like very gentle and also long. Like it's a longer experience. So it's like stretched out, slowed down. So it's not so intense. It's not like Bufo where you're blasted into a different stratosphere and then you have to try and integrate what happened. It felt more like blended, like into a blended reality. But I don't have a lot of experience with it, but that's when I sat with it, and yeah, that was my feeling of it. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
accurate.
I share that feeling too a lot. That Huachuma is underrated, and I don't necessarily want it to be overrated either, or like
Yeah.
discovered, because that's part of the mission we're doing with the Huachuma Foundation is to plant more of them.
Mm.
Because they're even at the current demand, worldwide demand, there's a lot of pressure on the wild Huachuma. Not necessarily those people that are growing them, you know, that's a little different. But the wild ones in Peru are facing some threats. So it is a very interesting medicine, Huachuma. I'll just give another insight to it, which is that where you where you take Huachuma will really change the experience because it's a connector, like with the land,
Hmm.
with the elements and everything. Like the experience of Huachuma on a mountain in Peru is very different than, you know, maybe on a mountain in Bali. I haven't taken it in Bali, but I can imagine they'd be very different. And it's a fascinating thing because then you realize like, oh, it's the medicine is just making me more present and able to feel everything here. And I think that is where a lot of people have lost. You know, we were talking about unity and connection is people feel separate. And what Chuma really reminds you that you're not, we are the universe right here. We're with the plants. We are the plants. We are everything, you know, and it's such a beautiful type of remembering that happens. And, you know, the destabilization isn't as present with that medicine either, like you observed, because I think this is just my own perception, which is like with things like ayahuasca or bufo, they're really taking us to other realms in a way. Like we're piercing the veil to see beyond here, So it's very hard to like take that experience, what was that, and then bring it to like, okay, well, I got to do the laundry and, have a job, right? Like, how do they relate?
Yeah.
But like with the Huachuma, it's just part of your life. Like you're still there, but you get to relate to your life in a different way that day or that night whenever you work with it. And those lessons are much easier to carry forward, I've found.
Yeah. I would feel that as well, just in my limited experience. Like I took Huachuma in Hawaii and in Ireland, and it was really about like feeling where I was because I went walking. I went swimming in Hawaii. So I could see, like, actually, you can't do that on a lot of medicines, right? You wouldn't take ayahuasca and go swimming, So there was a feeling of like really being able to connect to nature and understanding, like having a conversation with the land. Like in Ireland, I was feeling the harshness of the land and like how that made people really harsh. Like it was this kind of like, yeah, harsh energy. It was like this harsh conditions and like really feeling like also the medicine of that. Like how it also makes you softer in the heart. Like if we have harsh conditions, and I feel this in the jungle as well, like they have such harsh conditions, but they're closer as people. It's almost like that harshness brings you together. Whereas in the West, we're very comfortable, and we don't really have we have nice soft couches and, we're not living like in touch with nature, but we're very harsh towards each other sometimes. So there's this like kind of, seeing like you get these kind of angles, I guess. And that was my experience with Huachuma. It was really showing me this like relationship to the water. Like I was swimming in the water wondering, like, I wonder, is this water clean? Like what's upriver? And then Huachuma showing me that I am the prayer, that I can swim in the water and change it. I was like, oh, I'm part of it. Okay, I'm just going to pray to the water as I swim in it. So I was in this like, wow, this is pretty cool, but I have to be very present. It's like this very present experience of like, I don't need to be afraid of that. And then I was feeling the relaxation in my body of trust, so I feel like you have time on Huachuma to like explore dynamics. So in terms of what we're talking about, even about blueprint, I could see it as a really good medicine for that because you can ask questions and you can get an answer very easily. Whereas on ayahuasca, you have to be like very up straight to ask a question. To receive it through the present moment. And yeah, you're in different dimensions. Like I was in so many different lives when I sit with ayahuasca. So like, yeah, that's somehow more linked to like the soul memory and like it brings you to a different realm. Totally. So that makes total sense to me. Yeah. I want to go and take Huachuma with you guys.
For sure.
Dream come true.
Are you from Ireland?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's why I'm connected to mushrooms. Like this is the Irish, the medicine that grows in Ireland's mushrooms and hawthorn. So like these heart medicine and yeah, I would say mushrooms is total Irish medicine. I mean, it grows many places, but it's definitely fairies and leprechauns.
Totally. We had another guest, a good friend of mine who's in Dublin, on this podcast. Yeah, feeling the Irish. We'll talk offline, but there might be opportunities.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you answered some of my questions already just in your talking about like Huachuma and how could it maybe help the world and how do you see this medicine as like a beneficial thing. And I just, so I appreciate you. I appreciate you answering that. And I would love for you to come and do Huachuma with us and sit with the prayers and like be in it's so magical. I think I told you like the animal. So in lineage that we study, they have animals for each altar. So we open up 4 altars throughout the day. And one of my favorite moments from the last retreat that we did was the animal of the 4th altar crawled on the 4th altar. It was a spider. And it just showed me how connected everything was. Like I'm still kind of geeking out over those moments and how big and how connected everything is. Even just like not even just in the ceremony, but like everything surrounding it before and after. So I'd love to be able to share an experience like that with you so we can talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, I have chills. Yeah, totally. I'm waiting for my calling to go to Peru as well. Like I always wait to be called somewhere. Like I don't like to try and do things like that. Like, yeah, I don't want my mind making decisions. So and I know for me, like my astrocartography, my home is through South America. So I'm like, I'm waiting to go to South America, and I'm almost afraid that I'll never come back. So then I'm waiting for the calling. So yeah, it's gonna happen.
I'm gonna call you after this podcast. Here's your calling.
The invitation is there, right? Yeah. And I do feel like somewhere like Peru, it's important that you have an invitation. Like, I just feel like there's so much sacredness and medicine keepers. And yeah, I feel this like invitation, you get invited there. Like that's the experience that I want to have there. I want to be invited, not like go in and try and, yeah, do things. It just feels like this, yeah, somehow like an invitation. And that's the calling, right? Your soul's calling you somewhere, and you have the outside calling as well. So if people are thinking about doing your retreat, they should listen to the calling, right? It's like a feeling of, I need to go there and I don't know why. Like not having a reason, but just that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when people are following that part, their experience is vastly different than when they're following just this, the mind's desire or just, things like that. But, sometimes like Dani and I were talking about this, like she's always like, how do I know when it's the calling? do you have any tips?
Me or Dani?
No,
Dani doesn't know.
Dani's always like asking me, how do I know if it's a calling versus just,
actually,
rumination?
Right. I actually had a real important experience. I don't know if you've ever worked with iboga.
Yes.
I always say, like, I find it quite an intense medicine. I won't take it again because it's not for me. But the difference between like being called through the mind or through like outside things that you might take as signs versus your soul calling you, it's an inner feeling. I had a funny experience when I was living in Czech Republic where I was surrounded by people that were working with iboga. So I was in a friend circle somehow that they were working with it, and it kept coming to me through people. They were like, oh, you should do it. You should do it. And I was like, is this a sign? And then the person that facilitates it actually ended up knocking on my door, like in just randomly the wrong apartment. And randomly, then I was like, oh, this is a sign. This is a real big sign. I should do it. Right. And it was that weekend. So I just took it from that place. I didn't take time to feel into like, is that right for me right now? Does my soul want to sit with that medicine? And I could actually see the consciousness that called me there was more like mind level, like, and also the consciousness of people's shadows working through the field, or maybe like manipulation, like it wasn't a true, like it was just more like the consciousness of the medicine working through people versus like my soul calling for the medicine. So I had such a hard time with it. Like it was a very hard journey. Like I just feel like I almost didn't make it. It was because it's such a dark medicine. Like it's like, and I get it. Like it shows you on blast your thoughts, but like it showed the speed of them as well and how to not think. But I understand it, but also I didn't need it in that time of my life. So like I got schooled on like how to not listen to the outside and how to listen to the inner calling, and then ask, like the signs will show up or the pathway opens for you to do the medicine if you have the feeling. Like for ayahuasca, I waited and waited and waited and waited because of this experience with iboga. I was like, I'm going to wait until the right set and setting, the right teacher, the right moment, the right time in my life. And I was so glad that I did wait because it was such a sacred experience. So like you said, the person that might land into medicine from that space versus like an idea of the mind of like, or the ego of like, or wanting to have an experience or seeking something versus like that feeling of it's time to sit with this. Like it's that inner calling, and the outside arranges itself once you have that inner calling. So I would say like it's an inner movement versus something that comes to you from the outside, because it will come to you from the outside after you have the inner movement. But like to pay close attention to the source of where the calling came from, because somebody can come to you and try and convince you to go and do a medicine, but they're using their mind because they want you there. There's some ego stuff involved. So yeah, I would even pay close attention if someone's trying to convince you of something. There's usually some ego involved versus like the medicine, like your soul doing this like inner movement towards something different or towards that medicine. Yeah. And it's very like nuanced, I was pretty aware when it happened, but I was obviously not that aware of that piece.
Yeah. It's easier to see in hindsight and then probably during that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been very conscious of that. One of the things I really don't do is tell people they should do anything. And I don't really invite people even into medicine spaces. I kind of just wait, those people that are banging down the door that have the calling, they come and it seems to work. It seems like the right people show up,
Yeah.
versus, me. I could probably convince people, I'm pretty persuasive, but it's, again, I think it's within everybody, to seek when they feel it. I was like that. I waited. I had heard about ayahuasca 10 years before I drank ayahuasca. And I was just waiting for the right, moment, the right time. And it was perfect for that time.
Yeah. So you're really rewarded through listening to those things because you have such a profound experience through I'm ready and it's divine timing and divine orchestration. And
Yes.
it's interesting around like convincing people because I feel like when you do that, and this is what I witness and observe through like other people because I've also been in the waiting and allowing people to make their own decisions. But it's almost like because you convinced them, it wasn't really their full choice. They have an opportunity to project blame onto you. So they're like, if something bad happens, like it's not really a fully aligned, you almost get schooled through the mind. You have like an unpleasant experience because it wasn't chosen in that way. It wasn't a divine orchestration. It was the mind orchestrating a creation that wanted something to happen that ended up really messed up actually, because the souls they weren't fully ready. They weren't ripe for that experience. So I feel like you're dealing with a lot more mind stuff when you try and convince. So I feel like that it actually, when you don't convince and you sit back, and it's almost like for me, the opposite. I don't even tell people that I hold medicine space a lot of the time. I'll wait like 3 years into the journey and then I'll be like, I think maybe they're ready. I'll just drop it in, and then they might spend another 3 years trying to choose the journey. So it's this real waiting game of like, I know how sacred those experiences are when they're chosen from that divine orchestration or when the field orchestrates itself. Like even people sometimes try to choose a journey with me, but like the field collapses. It's like, doesn't happen. The location falls through, like the timing's off. And then it might happen a year later. And I see why it needed to be a year later in hindsight. But you just have to trust, like allow the divine orchestration to happen versus like trying to make it happen. Like it's such a like subtle thing, but I feel like it's big lessons in how to operate in the world as well. Like just in terms of like how we live, like allow things to unfold versus like trying to make them happen because we're premature usually with that. That's my experience with it. It's like you get lessons through being premature. It's like the ignorance, right? you get slapped and then you're like, oh, better not do that again. That was a little bit edgy.
The divine orchestration. I feel that way about meeting Huachuma and meeting Hamid. It just happened, and now I can look back like years later and go, "Oh my God, feels like it was so." And now we're here on this podcast talking about Huachuma, and I'm talking with Hamid and you. It's like so cool. And then talking about the calling, I have this like deep inner calling for Peru. It's like, oh yes, my whole body is like that. Oh, Huachuma, yes, my whole body is like yes. And it's interesting because trying to explain that to my parents, they're like, again, Peru again. I'm like, yeah, there's really nowhere else that exists for me right now. But it's just this like, I have to go and I don't even know why. I mean, I'd love to hike Ausangate one day. I love to do retreats with Hamid and whoever comes. And it's my most favorite time of my year, but I don't actually know why there's this magnetism to this whole thing. And I keep trying to figure it out and think about what it gives me and all of that, but I actually don't even know. It's just this deep yearning and calling, and like it actually is more painful if I don't do it in any capacity. And how we talked about like not being able to see another path. I actually don't know what else I would do with my life other than sound and follow the cactus around.
Right.
I just don't know anything else. That there's nothing. So maybe that's part of the calling, but I don't even know where it's leading me.
Yeah, I feel like that's really relevant because like passion propels you towards your purpose. So like that inner fire or desire for something that we don't know why, and we don't have to know. You know, like your purpose is to reveal more of who you are. And then that can happen through so many different ways. So it's like as long as you're following that, because so many people, I don't know, I've witnessed a lot of people and myself like follow different modalities, you know, and they're searching for that piece. It's this inner search, right? You're searching for yourself, and you're moving towards what will give you another piece. You know, in my experience, it's always like even when you're going to fall into a hole, you know, you have a strong feeling to go that direction, but the hole is part of your journey because there's a piece in that hole. You know, so it's like I would even say like because there's definitely a progression of like I fell through a lot of holes first before I landed into like the medicine, you know, and to trust the feeling no matter what, because it's going to lead you into the fire. It's going to lead you into the transformation that you need to listen to the actual fire that's calling you home. And I would say like that's a feeling of like you probably feel more at home with the medicine. You probably feel more at home with the sound. You probably feel more at home in those mountains because your soul chose that. You know, and that's when you know you're in your essence because you really feel fulfilled and nourished by it. And, you know, Hamid, you mentioned earlier about like people kind of feeling something's missing. You know, like you're missing. You know, it's like that we're trying to find us. We're trying to find who we really are. And people try and fill that through relationships, and they're just filling a hole. And then it's codependency versus actually, and that's why so many relationships fail as well. And I know I'm going off topic now, but
Not
it's
really.
like it, and right, and also the plant is a relationship. Like everything is a relationship. So how you relate to somebody else shows you where you're not whole. So like what is the sacred union between you and the plant, or the sacred union between you and your soul, is before the relationship with somebody else. Or they can happen like at the same time, but you learn a lot about yourself through relationship. That's almost like, I would say like one of the biggest initiations you can have is like learning how to relate like with anything or anyone. And like that brings parts of you home. And I know for me, like in those experiences, you follow your feeling of, oh, I love this person. And then you're in the fire with them for a few years and you're transmuting and transforming. And then you get spat back out. And then you're like, oh, geez, that was intense. And then you're a different version of you. And then there's another relationship that has another piece, you know, until you start to land more into that relationship with yourself, where you can actually co-create from sacred union, from like a place of wholeness where you can't lose anything. You know, I feel like that calling is you're calling for that part of you that can never be lost. Like you don't get lost anymore. You can't lose anything. The no loss relationship, that I am whole and complete already. Now let's have fun. Like it's a different angle, but yeah, and also like not saying to wait to be in a relationship before, like I don't need to be perfect to be in a relationship. Go into the relationship with a recognition of you're going to bring parts of each other home without an idea of where it's leading. Same with the medicine. Go into the relationship with the medicine knowing that you're going to bring parts of yourself home without an idea of where it's leading. So like you say, I don't know where it's going. You're going home no matter what.
Yeah,
Enjoy the journey, right?
so good. Yeah. Thank you for that little insight, which is a huge insight. You know, everyone's searching for that self-love, but until you know yourself, it's really hard to really find that peace that you're gonna nurture and love and care for and allow to have everything that you know you deserve to have. Give ourselves what we deserve to have.
Right. And like treating yourself as that sacred seed, like the miracle, like that is self-love when you see how sacred this experience is and how unique it is. And we're only going to be this version of ourselves once. Like it's finite. You know, like I feel like this reality is all about like the witnessing of life outside and like knowing that it's part of you, this like paradox of like the other not other, like the I not I, like this is the, well, I would say like the reality that we're in now that we get to experience. We're slow enough to see a separate self. We have a material, like denser body, slowed down light, like where we can actually like play with this dynamic of like having a separate self. Like that is such a unique experience that isn't available in different dimensions. You know, when when like I think about it a lot and I meditate on it a lot with my guides, and I'm always asking like, well, why does it feel like there's a lot of people or entities focused on Earth? It's because it's such a unique experience. Like it's like a playground, and I would say a cesspool as well as a playground, but like bringing back, like birthing divinity down here, like bringing consciousness, bringing love into density. Like I just feel like when you start to touch off of or taste your own divinity and you feel the sacredness of this life, like I'm so sorry to my body for everything that I put it through. You know, it's this like, oh man, like this, so sorry to my heart. You know, it's this kind of like reunion with yourself of like, yeah, we're kind of disconnected because of the nature of this reality. And then we get back into connection. And then we start to treat our body as a temple and not in a false worship. It's like the real worship, the real prayer. Like, and I do feel, I don't know, for whatever reason now, I'm just much more in allow my body to lead everything. How's my body doing? Does my body feel good with that? It's like this embodiment piece of just like treating the body as very much the leader, because this reality is a material reality. And my soul is very much in union with that experience, or like listening. But the soul, I don't know, for me before, I was allowing the soul and not listening to the body, like allowing the soul to like just go there, do this, do that. But my body was like, slow down, slow down. Maybe not that one, maybe not too much, you know, and I wasn't really in touch with that. And everyone has different experience. Some people are better at listening to their body. Like I said, I'm triple Aquarius, so I'm barely on the ground a lot of the time. And it's good to know your blueprint on that level, because then you can kind of support yourself when you know that you have like a slant towards like not being grounded. It's kind of useful then to get into the body, exercise, eat, like swim in the water, go into nature. And I feel like anyone on a conscious spiritual path could benefit from more of that, which is again why Huachuma is pretty nice, because you're in nature with it. You know, again, it's more about embodiment. Like I feel that bridge, like it feels much more like integratable and real, and getting in touch with that sacredness through the physical experience as well as the spirit, like a blending of spirit and soul in a more tangible way. So yeah, and I also have the same, like I don't feel like it will become really well known, because it's one of those medicines that's kind of protecting itself. You know, the right people, the medicine keepers will be working with it. And yeah, we have abuse of the medicine, but like if you're really in tune with the medicine, you're going to be growing it yourself anyway. Like I grow all of my own mushrooms. You know, so, and then you see that the preciousness of the experience of like, if it takes however 30 or 40 years to grow, what is it? Like, it's like a long time, right? It's like you're actually seeding it for the next generation, you know, and then you're sitting with it in a way that's sustainable versus like consuming. And if anything, that's going to teach more sustainability and like the preciousness of like sitting with the medicine. Like it's a very like sacred experience. And even if you do that once in your life, you know, to really value it as something that is rare, you know, something that needs to be respected and something that needs to be carried forward for the next generation. Like you plant a tree. It takes like 40 years for that tree to grow. It's not really for you. It's for the humanity. It's for nature. It's for like the evolution. So you're planting the Huachuma Foundation. You're planting it for it to carry forward. So it's a real, like, it's not this life, you know, I just see that thread of like, you start to understand that like, that's what you're leaving behind. And that's your offering, you know, so on that way, it can't be, well, you would hope that it can't be, we have such a consumer topic, like we consume everything. I always say, be careful what you consume, it will consume you. You know, it's this relationship of like overconsumption, whereas that teaches you sustainability. This is brilliant. It's such a beautiful thing that we need right now. Like how to be more sustainable comes back to unity consciousness, how to be not greedy and be sustainable instead of trying to explode and grow really quickly. Why don't we just grow in a nice, like the Huachuma, why don't we just grow nice and slowly? Like just allow the growth to happen in a very slow, sacred way. Yeah. That's my wish. Because something that grows quickly, it collapses, right? This is like Atlantis. When I tune into like the different timelines that we've lived, it's almost like AI right now. It's growing exponentially, and we're losing touch with the intention of like what we would use this for. it's like that is not being built on solid foundation, it will collapse. That will cause another collapse. Like if it grows too quickly, if we don't slow it down, like that's where we actually collapse. So in terms of even our, like apply that to our own path, don't try and rush anywhere. There's no destination. It's like, how can you seed the most sacred, sustainable, conscious creation, like here now, versus like trying to get somewhere, like build the empire in one day. And then it's built on sand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely.
I have a question, Claire, if you don't mind, about integration, because we talked about the bridge and how Huachuma is this bridge between the soul and the spirit. I always feel like it's like the cross section between prayerful and playful, which is why I think I love it so much. It's like both all in one ceremony. But then creating the bridge to go from this like super heart open, heart-centered space where everything feels possible and nothing is wrong. And it's like the heart is so obvious and the next choice feels so obvious. How do you integrate something like that into our lives where all of our parts come back up and all of our human stuff comes back up and the medicine wears off, but we have these memories and we can reminisce on this feeling, but how to actually move forward with that?
Yeah, because it can be hard to apply practically. Firstly, as you were speaking, I was getting the message of like, what if you are the cross between the prayer between playful and prayful? Like, I just had that, like, yeah, what if that's you? You know, it's like your experience of it. It's like maybe you are the bridge of prayerful and playful, like this, your essence. Yeah. Just wanted to put that in. Right. Because you're integrating that in your life. Okay, how do I bring more prayer to my life? How do I bring more playfulness to my life? And where do I see that I limit that? Like, where is the killjoy? Like, where is the seriousness coming in and taking away from that experience? And it is hard when we live in a reality that's very much formed on conditions of like, you need to do this and you need to conform and you need to be like this and responsibility. But I see responsibility different to that world. Like I really see myself as very responsible for me and for my consciousness and for how I show up and treat everybody and relate to the world. So being more self-responsible in terms of like what you bring on a frequency level. So slowing down and observing like what's playing through you. And I always say this, like every note that comes through you is a teaching in itself. Like if I feel something and I express it from that place of like reaction, I get to witness how those notes land in another person. Are they hurtful? What was created over there as I said that? Can you slow down enough to correct it in the moment of like, that didn't really feel right. I just feel very angry right now. Let me try again. I'm trying to express something and like I feel unsafe. You know, it's like going into vulnerability. So there's this dance, but like we're afraid to be vulnerable a lot of the time. And I feel like consciousness is birthed through vulnerability. Like we're actually giving ourselves permission to untangle from a reality of the control of the mind. And if you know that like we're very conditioned and programmed, we have to consciously choose our way into a new reality in every single moment. So it's like a continual orientation towards truth or whatever you're orientated towards. You know, I see this as a continual, not effort, but process of being engaged with. It's not a destination. It's like, oh, if I know that I have to continually choose my way into a higher consciousness, what is my orientation? What do I care about? And when you get clear about what is your seed, like the first time I asked myself that, it was truth. Okay, truth is my seed. If I really care about truth, am I being honest? Am I afraid to speak truth? Am I, you know, and even if it's my truth and it's not their truth, like it's, am I still afraid to share? Am I really caring about that if I'm allowing a distortion to play in the field? And it's finding a way to consciously express something from a place of vulnerability. We're not trained in this. This is like human school, right? How to give birth to the expression of the heart, how to give birth to what you care about through your interactions in the day-to-day, and how to not get pulled into the game of ego and disconnection and fear. Like I just see like ego as the fearful self, the one that's trying to hold on. So if you're able to know these parts of yourself through like being in self-inquiry, like being in the presence and in the present moment of what's unfolding, and you have to slow down to be able to create space to feel these things, because we're very much on fast forward. A lot of the time we're just unconsciously playing things out. So the subconscious and the fears are driving our actions until they're not, until we stop and say, what is that? Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why do I feel this way? And if you're not taking time to self-assess, like to see what that note that I just said created, and is that what I want to create in the world? What do I want to create in the world? Again, what do I care about? You start to operate differently. And I know for me, it's been a long journey, and I continually practice freeing myself, freeing my true self. So it's not we're always going to be practicing this, I feel, in this lifetime. It just feels like we're just continually orientating towards that higher consciousness, because we're in a field of disconnection. You have to be very solid in yourself to not get pulled into that field, because you'll have many people dancing with you as reflections of what's on the inside that's not transformed or transmuted. So how am I meeting that mirror? Like, how am I meeting that version of me, that part of me that I'm afraid of, that part of me that challenges me? And that I need to feel safe to challenge as well. You know, it's like I need to feel safe in myself, that I'm never going to abandon myself if I challenge somebody from a place of what I care about. And then notice, am I challenging from the ego, from like, oh, I think I know better, or, you know, versus the heart cares about something where we can see disconnection. We want to create connection. So it's you're finding a way to create connection through your expression. And that for me is the conscious field birthing itself, because it's not about disconnection and separation and right and wrong and my way is better than yours. It's like, how can I build a bridge from my heart to yours? How can I express how I really feel? And then you just get to witness what's inside of you. I know for me, for a long time, I had like a savior complex where I was trying to save people from their realities. And it caused me a lot of pain. It caused other people a lot of pain as well. And when I could see that part of me that was trying to pull them into my reality, I wasn't allowing them to have their own experience. Then I was able to let go and kind of let be. And, you know, just exploring what your concepts are, what your relationships are, because we all came here to learn through different themes. You know, and I had to learn that theme for who I'm supposed to be, which is not saving people, like helping people save themselves, you know, like, so start to witness, like, what are your movements, and slowing down enough to observe, and then finding a new movement that feels more aligned to your truth, to what you care about. So it's like knowing what your alignment is. And most people aren't aware of what they care about. They don't know what they want. They don't know what alignment feels like. So we really need to start with basic things, like very basic, like who am I, what do I want, and why? And the why is so important. The intention that's driving you forward, is it from a place of shadow and trying to prove something? Or are you really sincerely in a feeling of, I want to have a different experience? You know, I want to connect to my divinity. I sincerely want to experience a different reality. And we have to build our way into that reality. You're not just going to land into it. That would be very destabilizing. I always have this experience of like, oh, I feel like I'm stabilizing love in the field, in my field. Like, it's this, how do I become more stable in love and not being in reaction? And it's not through control, it's through allowing love to be the more prominent note. And that only comes through vulnerability. It doesn't come through blaming or shaming or separation. It comes through, this is how I feel. Like this expression through the heart, and just owning your own feelings versus like trying to convince anyone or change anyone else. Like owning what's on the inside. And that's like you saying, I'm willing to see the shadows and I'm willing to transmute them. I'm willing to love them. And I've had many experiences, and I still do, where I'm in a process of like seeing a shadow inside of me transmute. And I'm like angry at that person, but also like here going, it's okay, you're safe. You know, and in this like narrating of the experience, sometimes I'm sure people think I'm absolutely mental, but I'm kind of going, I understand myself. I'm sorry, I'm angry at you, but I'm really unsafe. You know, it's like you start to get more into what's actually happening. And this is like emotional alchemy or divine alchemy. You're turning the lead into gold. You're not doing anything. You're allowing it to move. You're kind of giving permission for life to move in a new way. And if we don't have that permission of like, I'm going to expose myself. I'm going to expose the shadows. I'm willing to feel. I'm willing to see what I can't see. If we don't have that, we're going to limit our ability to transform something. And what I notice actually, and this is very relevant, a lot of people that are on this journey, and I've seen it a lot in the last few years, of we start to become very aware on a mind level, like conscious. So now we know how to say the right things, but actually the living truth of embodying those things is something totally different. So like when I talk about ground zero and embodiment of what we need to pass through now, especially as like people in the spiritual realm, we need to embody those teachings. We need to live those truths that we understand to be true on an awareness level, so that we're not just a talking head. How do you treat people? Are you really taking that person as part of you? Are you afraid of them, or are you judging them? Or, because you can say all of the right things and still be in judgment. So we have to catch that's the false, we'll say the false light. That's the illusion of spirituality. That's the illusion of connection. That's the illusion of consciousness. And that's the trickster. That's very hard to spot, because we hear the right, and this is in relationship as well. If somebody, you might call them a narcissist, they're just disconnected. They're saying the right things, but they're not meaning any of it because they're disconnected from a feeling of what they're saying. They don't know what they want. They're just saying to control. That can happen in any realm. That can happen in the spiritual realm. Someone's just saying something to control, to maintain a position. So like being able to feel a note of sincerity and a note of truth, like tuning yourself to be sincere and to be in truth, means that you can feel when other people are not. Then you're never tricked anymore. You're not being led by somebody who's not embodied. And you're learning how to be embodied in yourself. When I say somebody, like most people are not embodied. I'm really working on embodiment now, like humbly bowing constantly to my body and to what I know in the body, and to actually move from the same place that I speak from, to move in a place that I really care about you as part of me, that I'm not just saying that I love you because I want something from you, right? I love you as part of me because I don't see us as separate. And that's where the unity comes from. That's where I feel like we change from that place. But that's not something you can fabricate. You go through your initiations. You go through the harshness of feeling disconnected. You go through experiencing yourself as a disconnected person, creating pain, the pain of disconnection, and that pain awakens you. That pain humbles you. When you go through something and you're really in need, it humbles you. It makes you feel like you really need connection from others to survive. So we have like I say, the perfect challenge is to like birth these things, but like, I don't know, sometimes I think about it, like, wow, it's a lot. It's a lot in this reality. And then it's like, let's just enjoy it. There's nowhere to get with it, it's because people can get overwhelmed. Oh no, I messed up. I need, it's like, actually just slow down and enjoy more and feel more and listen more and be more, and nothing to do from that place but like explore. And for me, it became more of like a revelation. Like it's exciting to reveal who you are versus like I'm healing what's broken. You're just kind of revealing over time, like this subconscious becoming conscious, the shadows becoming light, this like, and that's always happening. You think you're at some point in your journey and then you're slammed back into the earth. Oh, I finally made it. There's no more questions. And then another layer of reality reveals itself to you and you're like, oh shit, what was that? There's another layer. So yeah, I feel like we're all in mastery here. It's a master just to be here. You're master. If you're here, you're already a master. It's a mastery school. Like this is like to focus your consciousness down into physical form is like a big thing. Like I just feel that like we're all in different cycles of mastery. You're a master just by being here. It's by like being embodied here. That is the miracle itself. Just recognizing that it's such a unique experience to be here. And are we going to enjoy that? Or are we going to spend our lives chasing something or chasing disconnection?
Mhm.
Yeah. I forget the question now, but
Me too.
I feel like you need to send us a bill for your time because we're getting really a lot of valuable things for our lives.
No.
on this podcast.
Here's our integration call, Hamid.
That's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. It's like what the last month of my life has been, is like really feeling and learning how I've been not feeling and not present, and what is my truth? Who am I? What do I want? Why am I ready to like really see that? So yeah, that's been the kind of after the last couple ceremonies that we did, it's been like really that
Right.
like humbling, really sobering actually.
But how good is it to be humbled?
So it's so good.
Like I just, again and again, like when I'm in that feeling of being in the heart, the mind's not doing anything. Like I had this beautiful experience with my mother in Italy. She had this wish to go to this Assisi where Saint Francis is because she's connected to him, and she booked this random like silent meditation retreat. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go with her, like just because she really wants me to go. And it wasn't in my field of like this is something I really want to do, but I felt like going with her felt very purposeful. And when I sat into this circle and they were asking why you're here, and I started to feel this like honor, like, oh, I'm here to honor my mother. And wow, it was like smashed into my heart. And I was just like, like really crying from such a deep space, like sharing it and like this juicy experience of being in the heart. And like we're humbled. When we're humbled back into the heart, you know, and it's like, I want to live from that place. When I'm not in that place, I'm like praying for me to feel that again, you know, because it's like, I don't know if it's because it's so deep, but like it's such a deep place to live from in a world of disconnection. I guess we're getting to dip our toe in and out of it, you know, until we're fully able to live through that because the field supports it. We're having these moments of like depth and like beauty. And then we're kind of like back into the mind and trying to operate in this world. And then we get humbled back in again. So yeah, when I'm not in that, I'm noticing like, okay, where am I becoming disconnected? Because we're always in that dance. Like we're always going through this, like dipping the toe in deeper and then coming back up like the waves of consciousness. And I know for me specifically, like I want to live through that space of beauty, like that space of real expression, that space of love. And I also noticed that the capacity for the field to stabilize or handle that. Like, I don't know, it was so deep with that. I just have this new experience with my mother. So it was such a deep transmission to her. Like it blew the field open. She blew open. She cried for the first time in years. And I was kind of seeing like the orchestration that allowed that to happen and for there to be witnesses so she couldn't escape. You know, it's like that we don't really have many of these moments. And when the opportunity is there, I'm always looking for the opportunity to go deeper. And then I'm in it going like, oh, right, okay, this is a big one. You know, and it's like, can you allow it? Like, can you allow that humility to pass through you and the truth to flow from you, and recognize when you're getting disconnected, recognize when you're feeling ungrounded, or, you know, I could have thought of more important things to do with my time. What could be more important than honoring my mother? Like the source of life that I came through. Like I could not swap that experience for anything. She said after that first day that like, I can go home now. It's like, yeah, okay. Like I get the metaphor of that. And like, we don't need anything else. It's like that. Like, yeah, it's sometimes we're doing this healing path and we're not really with the people, you know, where we're like doing inner child work and we're not like allowing the love to really flow in reality. I feel like we're just practicing how we might transmit that in real life. Like, what does it really feel like to honor my parents? And I know all of the medicines show me this bowing to the tree of life, like bowing to the source, bowing to the people that I came through, like bowing to the love that brought me here. And can we do that more in real life? Because why were we just doing it in like, I don't know, these inner child sessions or like these healing sessions? We're getting safer to actually practice what it feels like to allow love to flow. So I'm now in an experience where more love is flowing. There's more bandwidth for me to hold space for that love to come through. And when I get these little glimpses of those realities, I'm like, oh, like imagine a world where that's happening, where like everyone starts to open and pour their heart out and share how grateful they are and how much they honor each other. And yeah, this is like sacred union, the flower of life coming to life. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm interested in right now, like the embodiment of like how I move through the world and can I be in that depth with people? And if I'm not, how am I getting pulled into a surface? Because the world will pull you and invite you into surface. There's people having surface interactions the whole time because they're terrified to be deep. And it's to not judge the surface. It's just to slowly invite through the capacity that's there, people into depth. To not reject the surface, you know, to recognize that people are terrified of what's in the shadows. So like, can you really hold a compassionate, open space and be very patient for those maybe once in a lifetime moments with your mom that might transform so much in one tiny expression. It's like the patience for those experiences. Can you be patient enough to allow? to say I'm here and I'm waiting and I'm ready. And yeah, we definitely have to get to a point in ourselves where we're free enough to allow those transmissions to happen, to allow those bridges to be built, to allow love to flow, safety. If we're not safe, love has no space. So like my journey has all been about cultivating and is about becoming more safe in myself. Like taking care of myself as a sacred being. Am I in tune with what I'm saying yes and no to? Am I really safe in my own hands? And am I safe in the hands of the divine? Do I trust? Am I surrendered? Because sometimes we know we're walking into some shit, but we know that we need it. You know, there's a big curiosity of like what's over there for me. And like I said, it's a pothole. I'm gonna fall into your soul is like, oh, she's going into another hole. Push. Go that way. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I cannot wait to watch this back and like take notes. I feel like all of this was so relevant for exactly where I am.
Oh,
Oh, my God, an hour and 45 minutes flew by. Thank you, Claire. This has been incredible. Hamid, is there anything else that you want to say or ask or?
No, I really appreciate your time and just sharing these little bits that are just so wise and helpful, and I look forward to more.
thank you.
I do want to, also say that we'd like to support you in any way we can. So feel free to, tell people what you're doing and where they can find you and all of that good stuff.
I find this like, thank you. I find this funny because I have this divine orchestration part of my blueprint where people kind of find me in really weird ways. So if you're watching this podcast and you feel a resonance and you feel that inner calling of like, I have something for you, that would be it. Like nothing else. And it's more like working with your blueprint and uncovering who you are. Like that's my orientation. My soul is kind of interested in that right now anyway. For whatever will become of that in the future, I don't know. But yeah, that I would say like if you feel a calling, inner calling, not from me, and you're watching this, yeah, reach out. I'm here. I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to hold you as you witness yourself coming more into this reality and yeah, celebrate it. So yeah, thank you. And thank you for sharing. Like I love to know more about Huachuma, and I definitely want to come and sit and go to Peru and yeah, meet in person. This convergence needs to happen. Like we've been talking about it for a while, Dani. Like I want to meet Dani in person. Like it's like this funny like thing where we're meeting online, right? And in person is where everything is revealed. You know, like this is safe. Like this is like super safe. I'm in my little comfortable Bali place. You know, it's like it's super safe, but like yeah, allowing like that beauty to unfold in person and like the humanness as well. And just thank you both for also doing your work, like for protecting or like being guardians of the medicine and like pioneering it for the next generation and like like following your calling. I know there's nothing else that you would be doing, but like thank you for remembering that that is why you're here, or this is part of why you're here, so that like you can continue that legacy and help other people connect to the beauty of that medicine. Because I see that it is big medicine for this specific time, and it will find the right people definitely at the right time. But I just feel, yeah, it's kind of interesting that we have like painkillers so on tap, and like we have this sacred medicine that's really beneficial, like very scarce, you know, or like going to go extinct. It's like our values are so upside down. Like, but yeah, so like thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for the invitation to come on and share. I love like we're getting to birth consciousness through this conversation, so I'm happy. Can talk about it all day. It feels very on purpose. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. This was like the coolest episode I think I've ever done. Just looking up, I'm like, Hamid, Claire, cool. Oh, yeah, very amazing for me. So thank you both for this opportunity. This was a really special night for me. And everybody out there, thank you so much for watching and for tuning in. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.
This podcast episode was a production of the Huachuma Foundation. If you would like to be a guest on our show, email us at huachumafoundation@gmail.com. If you would like to learn more about us or support our mission, please visit huachumafoundation.org. And most of all, remember to plant more, worry less.